shooting a massive white-tailed deer in Saskatchewan is always near the top of every hunter's bucket list. Here at the northern edge of the Whitetails Range in this sometimes freezing cold province, only the big and strong survive. In this mecca for monster whitetails, there are massive brutes weighing over 300 pounds with antlers that score over 200 inches. So welcome to Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan and Sun News Network's Straight Shot Whitetail Hunt. Rob Furlong and I have traveled to northern Saskatchewan at the end of November for what we hope will be a very entertaining program highlighting this province's great people, but more importantly, this province's world-class whitetail hunting opportunities. Rob Furlong, of course, is a former sniper with the Canadian Forces and also a Straight Shot host. And I know I speak for both of us when I say we are both excited to be here in Saskatchewan in the freezing cold hunting for massive white-tailed deer in the land of the living skies. We've just arrived in Saskatchewan for the hunt, but the first thing we need to do is sight in our rifles at the local gun range.
One of the things I always mention to guys if they're traveling from their home and they're either flying to their location or driving is to always confirm zero when they arrive. Reason being is different environmentals, different elevation, air pressure, air density is going to make a difference. Not huge, but slight difference. So it's always good to confirm your zero.
Yeah, so the first two were there, and that was my third.
Excellent.
Which I felt was a bit of a flyer, so that explains that. But I'm happy with that group. It's certainly a great group for hunting, and yeah, I'm happy that zero's still there.
And I was point of aim, point of impact. So somewhere along the way, something must have happened. So my first round was low, so I was 0.5 mils low, my point of aim, which my cold bore is usually high and to the left. So I give myself a 0.5 correction. I put 3 rounds, went into the top left here, and give myself a correction then, confirm with 2 rounds.
Wow.
So I'm pretty much point of aim, point of impact now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we've confirmed our zero, so we're good to go for the field. So let's go out there and get some deer.
Perfect, let's go hunting. So Rob, when you're hunting in the frigid cold weather, what is that going to do to a bullet performance?
Depending on the distance, obviously, the air is going to be slightly thinner. The colder air is not as dense, so the bullet will fly slightly faster. Not so much friction, but for the ranges that we're going to be shooting, you really won't even have to take it into consideration.
Yeah. You know, my brother and I took a fairly unusual route into the hunting world. We grew up in downtown Toronto. We didn't have family members or friends who hunted. We started actually as fishermen. And through fishing, we started to learn about hunting and decided we wanted to start hunting. And I guess we started back in the late 1990s. So I've been hunting for 15 years now, almost all of which has been done in Ontario, be it pond hopping for ducks or walking logging roads for grouse, and trying to get out for a few weekends or a week every year for deer. But what you need to understand is that deer hunting in Ontario or Quebec is very different from the kind of deer hunting that you will see in a place like Saskatchewan.
So, you know, as a kid growing up in Newfoundland, hunting is a very popular sport, but also a necessity. A lot of people really do hunt big game down there, and it's a supply of fresh meat. Myself, growing up, my first BB gun was at an age of about 6 or 7. My dad actually showed me how to use iron sights. And the first animal that you kill as a young boy type of thing, of course, is a little bird. And you move up, and I started getting into what we call bird hunting back there, is either duck or tur hunting. Then moving up into caribou, moose. I mean, Newfoundland is really well known for their moose population, and the amount of moose that get taken back there being fairly large animals. From there, it kind of grew, and getting posted with the military into Alberta and getting into the whitetail hunts and the elk hunts, and so yeah, it's always been a passion. I guess it's just been in my blood.
With our guns zeroed in, we head to Baitmaster's hunting camp just east of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and get ready for an early morning hunt. When you come to a place like Saskatchewan and you see the number of deer that you see out in the forests, out in the fields here, it's shocking. And it doesn't even seem like they're white-tailed deer. They're not the deer you're used to because there's so many of them. They are so large, and it's really a neat opportunity to be able to watch these deer interact with each other. Minus 36 with the wind chill, is it? Follow me. I got battery heated line. Okay, so you're good now, buddy. Oh. Nice and cold, eh, Rob? We'll be right back with more whitetail hunting adventures after these commercial messages. Welcome back to Straight Shot's Whitetail Hunting Adventures. Let's get back to the blind.
Doing good. Excited. Day 2. Chasing down the monsters of Saskatchewan here, and this is going to be a new spot for us today.
Nice and cold, eh, Rob?
Coming back.
I'm just gonna pop
Excited?
Yeah, a little bit. And we just got to our blind here with Brian, and there's deer everywhere as we're pulling up on the quads. Okay, so we're set up at our second location here, Brian from Baitmasters. So do what they're calling the cougar blind, and we've had some decent bucks move in this morning. We've got a half a dozen does hanging out. Some of the bucks are nice 3x3s, but nothing we're really interested in. Okay, so we just had a really nice 5x5. Just kind of present himself in left flank. He just peered out through the trees, just for a couple of seconds, and he went back. He's acting really skittish, unlike the 3x3s that have just been walking out nonchalant. This guy just seemed to take a peek and look directly at us, push back. So we're definitely interested in having a better look at that guy. So we're just going to hang tight and see if he gives us another opportunity. We're taking him. That's the guy. Beautiful rack. He's he's on to us. We gotta let him calm down. The lower part of the neck. He didn't give me much of a shot. He turned away. He was hoping for him to present himself, but he didn't. It looked like he was moving off to the right flank, so I think he was going to leave. So I decided to take him. Good job. Yeah, looks like a good buck. Go check him out. Yeah, let's go check him out.
Brent from Rob.
Go ahead, Rob.
Hey Brent, just let you know we got a buck down. Took a nice 5x5. 0 over here. 1 buck. One with that down. So raise radio, drive.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome. Way to go.
Do one last thing. Gotta put on my trusty loophole toque, given to me by my good friends at Loophole. As you guys saw today, I did my shoot with my PGW Coyote and my Loophole Mark IV optics. We had a saying in the military, you know, train like you fight. This is the rifle I train on all the time, and it's the rifle I hunt with no matter what. Close range, long range. Using this rifle now is pretty much second nature to me. So, but let's go check out our buck.
Excited?
Yeah, pretty pumped. Looks like a great buck. We just took a look back at our film there. We haven't been down yet, but we're pretty sure this is a beautiful 5x5. So let's go see.
Good, man.
Yeah.
How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, feeling really good right now. So when he turned away from us and started to make his way off to our right flank, I didn't want to chance it. We turned down one 5x5 this morning, a little bit smaller than this guy, and the number 2 G2 on him was a little bit damaged, so we let that guy go, and our patience kind of paid off. So yeah, we're pretty happy with this guy. Nice, beautiful 5x5. I just never found myself face to face with that large rack whitetail, and coming here and knowing that there was a good chance I'd be afforded that opportunity, and then actually sitting in that blind. So here's me and Andre. We're sitting in this little 5x5 blind. It is minus 31. It's so cold. There's a lot of deer moving in front of us. We've got 15, 20 does going back and forth, multiple 3x3s, some 4x4s, and we're just waiting. And when we saw that first little glimpse of that 5x5, and it caught my eye, but it was off of my left periphery. He's come up on our left flank and just exposed himself for about 3 seconds, and I caught it. And I remember saying to Andre, I'm like, and I'm whispering to her, there's a big buck coming from her. And Andre is kind of trying to look, but he's off in a good position for the camera. He can't really see what I'm seeing. And then he disappears. And I'm kind of, you know, that letdown feeling of, oh, you know, that could be the buck. I'm saying that Andre, I'm like, that's the guy. If he comes back, I'm pretty sure we're going to take him. And of course, he disappears. And a couple of minutes later, he nonchalant comes up from 12 o'clock position and starts to approach us. But he's extremely skittish. These 3x3s and 4x4s that we had coming out in front of us would walk out, even if we had coughed or slightly moved something in the blind, you know, it would pique their interest, they'd raise their head, but they'd go about their business. But this 5x5 was completely different personality. He knew something wasn't right. He could feel it. And I don't know if what he would do, as we consider in the military as a recce, we'd come in and we'd cloverleaf around and check out an area before we actually expose ourselves. And that's what I feel like this whitetail did. He really checked us out before he actually moved into what the rest of these does were. And as he's walking forward, you know, of course you can, any hunter out there, and I think if they say they don't get that, it's unfortunate, because that is one of the exhilarating things about being a hunter, is that feeling you get as an animal approaches and you've made that decision, you know, I'm going to take that animal.
And what do we got for date today? 27, 28, 29?
Today is right now the 29th.
And we are 2014. And we are November yet, I guess?
Yeah.
At the base on any
Thank you.
side, doesn't matter.
And now this buck had teased me 2 or 3 times already with exposing himself. I had made the decision that, you know, I was going to take my tag from this very special hunt and use it on this buck. I was not going to let him go. He started to push off to the right, and he went into the trees. And it's almost like that dump of disappointment where I missed my opportunity. And I had one shot. He exposed his right side, walking in between two trees, and I had to make a split-second decision. Would I take it and place the bullet directly behind his ear, or because I was afraid I was going to damage his rack, I decided to drop it down to the spine and sever the spine and drop the animal there, and that's what I did. And when I did that, I released the shot, did my follow through, my exhale, and you know, and I saw him drop right away. And when you shoot an animal and they drop that way, you really don't even, it's a reflex to reload, but you know he's done. And I look over at Andre and I'm like, we got him, kind of type of thing. So it was really exciting. It was once in a lifetime opportunity for me to be here, and for me to share that moment with the cameraman Andre, for myself being a first time hunter, and when I say that, for a large scoring rack, it was quite an opportunity. And I don't know, maybe I'm hooked now, so maybe I'll be back to see Brian and Sylvia again.
We'll be right back after these messages. Every hunting adventure offers great rewards, but also can pose significant challenges, whether you're duck hunting in the pouring rain or chasing wild sheep through the Rockies. For us, hunting white-tailed deer in northern Saskatchewan at the end of November, you can imagine our challenge was freezing cold weather. In fact, we saw temperatures as low as minus 40 degrees Celsius with the wind chill, and it certainly did take its toll on our camera gear, our hunting gear, but also on the hunters and camera crew. Luckily for us, we've been outfitted from head to toe by Under Armour's Cold Gear infrared clothing, and this clothing really did make a big difference in the bush. The gunpowder jacket and pants in the Snow Reaper camo pattern are great pieces of gear for the brutal cold. With a mix of 140 grams of Primaloft insulation, it's kept us warm without excess bulk. And the Armor Storm fabric has kept us dry even while sitting in the snow. The clothing has kept our scent at bay too, with Under Armour's unique scent control technology that traps human scent and prevents it from drifting downwind. Underneath, we've all been wearing Under Armour's 4.0 base layer, their warmest long underwear for the brutal cold. And on our feet, Under Armour's Brow-Tine hunting boots, which have a Gore-Tex lining and 1,200 grams of insulation, have kept our feet warm and dry. We've been packing our hunting gear and camera gear to and from the blinds every day with Under Armour's Ridge Reaper 2800 backpack. And I've got to say, this is one of the nicest packs I've ever used. For super long hikes, there's a packable weapon carrying system that locks in a rifle or a bow, and the ripstop fabric makes this pack extremely durable. There's an aluminum frame running through the pack which keeps it extremely light, but also adds rigidity where you want it. With 2,800 cubic inches of capacity, it can hold a ton of gear, and it only weighs 3 pounds.
One of the things that I've been impressed with by the Under Armour gear that we've been using is, it's such a lightweight suit, but yet it's keeping us nice and warm, even out in these frigid temperatures.
Ah, wow. What a great buck. It's minus 40 in northern Saskatchewan today, and we've been hunting for 3 or 4 days in freezing cold temperatures of minus 20, minus 35, and today minus 40 degrees Celsius. And I can tell you, without Under Armour's Cold Gear infrared clothing, there's no way we could have stayed out in the bush this long. What a beauty. What a beauty, 9-point. Under Armour does a great job keeping us warm outside, but nothing beats getting inside. Now let's check out the accommodations at Baitmasters Hunting Camp with owner and operator Brian Hofford.
It's a full American plan deal. You come in, set your bags down, and right from the onset, we look after you. We have all the meals and the lodge, of course, and right down to the license issuer. So you come in, set your bags down. We take care of you from there on, and we carry you out to the field and give you the hunting experience and the skinning, the caping, the whole 9 yards. It's right where we are here in central Saskatchewan, north central Saskatchewan, I guess you want to call it. That we've got the forest, we've got the genetics, and the carrying capacity for all these animals, and coupled in with all this stuff, with the big blocks of woods and everything else, it makes for big deer. And we're just really, really blessed to have these big deer and a renewable resource. Yeah, there's 160s, 150s, 180-inch deer, 200-inch deer out there, but it's not behind every tree, eh? So when our guests come in and they have an opportunity to take and harvesting a 140, 150-inch deer, that's a real target, and it's real. You can dream about the big 180s, and if you spin the wheel and your number comes up, that's a good thing. But realistically, when you're sitting out there in the woods and you're seeing 140s, 150s, and you know that there's a possibility of a big guy around the next corner, that's what makes people come back. We have primarily a lot of American clientele, European clientele, and about 5 or 6 years ago, if I'd have said that the outfitters in the province that we'd be catering to Canadians, they'd all scoffed at us. Well, now of course the economy is changed, demographics have changed, and we've got people from Eastern Canada that are working up in Fort McMurray. They have they have extra money in their pockets. They're all hunters and fishermen, and in 3 or 4 hours they're here in Saskatchewan. So we're starting to see a shift to Canadian resident hunters in the province here. Yeah. The gratification of when I pick somebody up and they're high stepping, that they've just shot a big deer, shot a big bear, caught a fish. I mean, we've made their dreams come true. So it's when they're high-fiving and you just see they're ecstatic, because some of these people, they save their money for a long time to come and hunt and fish with us. And this way here, it's a dream come true. And somebody made the comment the other day about some of our old brochures that we specialize in making memories, and I guess that's sort of what we do. And it's just a good feeling to see people they're happy, and they come as guests and leave as friends, is what we like to say. So, well, what we're experiencing this time of year is we've got the post rut going on, and the deer are starting to group up again, and with extreme weather, as you might well, that's really everything you do is twice as hard. And so we set you guys up in ground blinds and throw heaters in there and try to keep you as comfortable as we can. And as you see, the deer activity is still pretty good. But what's starting to happen with the post rut, they're starting to get a lot of nocturnal activity. You still get the mole bucks. They know there's a job to be done, so they're out there still looking. And so we condensed everything that we normally do in 5.5 days into 3 days, and couple that with some minus 28 degree weather at a wind chill of minus 39 to 40. It makes it for a challenge, but challenge as an outfitter, trying to keep everything going and make sure everybody's safe and warm and comfortable and stuff like that. And as the hunters out in the woods, you're putting yourself out there too. It's cold but we have radios, so we always kept in contact with you to make sure that that if you're cold, let us know. We'll come and try it. But with the heaters and the ground blinds, it's comfortable, but we're still on the edge.
Now that Rob's bagged a big one, can I find the trophy that I'm looking for? We'll find out after these messages.
Too bad.
Welcome back to Straight Shot's Whitetail Hunt here in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan with Baitmasters Hunting Camp. Rob, let's get back to the blind and see what we can see.
Let's go, Rob.
Welcome back to our whitetail hunting adventure in northern Saskatchewan. It's minus 36 today with the wind chill, and we're hoping we're going to see some monster whitetail bucks. Let's get hunting. For the past 3 days, Scott and I'd like to say we worked really hard in those blinds. It was freezing cold, and you're sitting motionless in these blinds for 9 hours a day with the temperature somewhere between minus 30 and minus 40 with the wind chill. And what we were seeing the first 2 days were really nice 8-point bucks, moving in front of our stand, coming back and forth, through the stand. There must have been 3 or 4 real shooter bucks in that group, but they were 8 points, and they were trophies to me. But we kept deciding that we would hold off, and we would still wait for a bigger one. So right in front of our stand right now, there's about 8 or 9 different deer, 5 of which are bucks. And there's some really nice bucks in this group. I've hunted in Ontario for several years and I've never seen anything like this. But I guess that's why you travel to northern Saskatchewan. It's incredible. So just off from our blind, by about 30 yards, there are 2 bucks sparring, and you can hear their antlers crashing into each other, and we can just make it out through the trees what's happening. But it's interesting to watch these deer in the rut period, doing what deer do and fighting for territory, fighting for dominance. And it's also neat to hear the antlers crashing together. That's the biggest deer that we've seen all day. He's a nice 8-pointer. But the tines are a little thin. I don't think he's a 4-year-old deer. And we've seen him a couple times today. It's certainly the biggest deer that we've seen all day. And it pains me to say this, but I'm going to pass up on him and hope that we get a bigger deer. My heart's racing right now. I'm a little shaky because he's that big. But it's northern Saskatchewan at the end of November, and there are big deer in these woods. And I'm going to hope, fingers crossed, that an even bigger one comes out. But that is a very nice deer right there. Anywhere else in Canada, that's a trophy. It's a trophy here too, but as I say, I'm hoping for a bigger one. Well, it's almost the end of day 1, and we've seen a lot of deer today. And of all the bucks that we've seen today, there is one that made me question whether I should shoot him or not. And I think if I leave here Sunday evening without having seen a bigger deer, I'm going to kick myself hard for not harvesting that one big buck I saw today. I may regret that decision. Can I find the trophy that I'm looking for? We'll find out after these messages. I've spent 3 days passing up on 6 points and 8 points. Will I ever find that 10-point I'm looking for? Right in front. We're just heading into the blind in the early morning hours of this northern Saskatchewan whitetail hunt. And it's minus 36 today with the wind chill. So it's going to be a cold day, and we're looking for monster whitetail bucks. Scott and I moved into a new blind about 1.5 miles, 2 miles off of a road in a thick forested woodlot. And Scott and I hadn't been there maybe 2 hours when the first group of does sort of moved in front of our blind into a bit of an opening in the forest. And hunting in Saskatchewan for the past 3 days, you know that where there are some does, it won't take long before you start to see some bucks also coming to the area. And sure enough, some smaller bucks moved in, and off the corner of my eye, for a split second, there was a big buck. And you can tell a big buck from the sort of junior classes. They stand out, their antlers stand out, their body mass stands out, and I saw him for just a split second out of the corner of my eye as he was moving away from us, which is never a good sign. And I worried that this buck had spotted us, we'd spooked him somehow, which is typical with whitetail. They are skittish at times, especially big bucks. And this buck had moved out of my field of view. I couldn't see him anymore, and you start to feel a little disappointed that maybe the buck you've been waiting for had moved off and would never show himself again.
It's that 5x4 again. I'm just gonna take him now. Oh, I think I just got a really nice 5x4 buck. He didn't drop the way I would have wanted him to, but I got him chest on, and I'm happy with the shot. And I really hope it was a good, clean shot, and I hope it's a buck down. It's a really beauty 5x4 buck. So we're gonna wait now about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll go out and see what the shot sight looks like.
So it was around here that I shot that buck, and it's about 60 yards or so from our blind location. This is really close shooting, and I was worried that maybe my shot was a little bit low since it was a front-on shot. And this is the area where he was hit. And if you look right around here, there isn't an immediate sign of any blood. But if you come just a few feet over here, you see that he starts bleeding quite badly. It would be great if every deer that you shot dropped where it stood, but that's not always the case. And in winter, it's pretty easy to track deer because the blood shows up so easily on the snow. But in the fall, if you hit a deer and he goes even 30 or 40 yards, it can sometimes be difficult to see the blood on vegetation and twigs on the ground. Oh, what a great buck. You know, it's minus 40 today in northern Saskatchewan, and Rob Furlong and I have been hunting now for 3 or 4 days in freezing cold temperatures of minus 20, minus 35, and today minus 40 with the wind chill. And I gotta say, you know, it's just such a great privilege to be able to see firsthand the hunting opportunities available to Canadians. This here is a beautiful 9-point Saskatchewan whitetail. My biggest buck ever, and it's really been great to be up here hunting in Saskatchewan, even if it is a little cold. But sure enough, we sat tight, we stayed motionless, we didn't make a sound, and we kept watching over to the left side of our blind. And as luck would have it, the buck very slowly and quietly, and almost like a ghost, started moving in from the left, and we couldn't really see him, and so I couldn't get a sense of how many points he was, how big his antlers were, but I knew he was there, and every now and again we'd catch a glimpse of him working through the trees, and he was onto us. We couldn't outsmart him. He knew that something wasn't right with this position, something was up with this group of does, with the area we were in, and he was watching us very closely. And I know from past experiences that bucks don't wait around long. And so we watched him clear the final tree before a bit of an opening in this woodlot. And once he cleared the final tree, he turned and he faced us. dead on. And his ears were up, and he was staring us down. He knew something was wrong, and he even did the typical deer move where he puts his head down to pretend to feed and snaps it back up so that he can try to fool a predator that may be waiting to ambush him. And I knew that buck wasn't going to be there for long, and although I was going to wait for a broadside shot, it never presented itself. And so once he snapped his head up again, I put a bullet right at the base of his neck into his heart. And I was actually worried at the beginning because I knew he was hit, but I worried that the range was about 60 yards, and I worried that the shot may have been about an inch or two low. And so, you know, all these thoughts start to go through your mind. You're happy, you're excited, you're elated, in fact, because you just had a buck in your sight. And then, of course, you start to second guess, was the shot good? You know, if you're lucky, they drop right there. But as every hunter knows, you know, we're not always that lucky. Sometimes even a heart shot, they're going to move 30 or 40 yards. And, you know, with every step, I felt better and better that not too far away was going to be my trophy Saskatchewan whitetail. And sure enough, about 30 yards from where we'd shot him, there he was, lying in the snow. And I couldn't be happier. It's an amazing hunt. It's a great experience to be here at Baitmasters and hunting with Brian and Rob Furlong.
Nice work.
What a day. What a day, Rob.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
You know, we waited all hunt to the last day, and I've been looking at 8 points this entire time. So when this guy came out, he's a nice 9-pointer. Would have been a 10-point except his G4 there busted off. But I'm really happy with it. You know, it's a great Saskatchewan whitetail. A little smaller than yours, but that's the way it should be. You know, you're the trained professional. So.
No, it looks great. Great. That's awesome. A little bit chilly out there today.
It is a lot bit chilly. Minus 40, and so I'm also happy we got this guy in the morning because it means we get to go back now and have a warm bowl of soup.
See, it was warm yesterday. It was minus 31 when I got mine, so I'm glad I was in today.
Perfect. Well, what a hunt. What a hunt.
Excellent.
We'll be right back after these messages. Well, there you have it, folks. A great whitetail hunt in a great province with some great people, if I do say so myself. Rob, what was the highlight for you?
Bren, and folks, this was once in a lifetime, an amazing opportunity for myself. I've been hunting my whole entire life, but I've never seen anything like this. Brian and Sylvia from Baitmasters have gone out of their way to make this a once in a lifetime opportunity. I got out there, got to see some amazing scenery. I was blown away by how many white-tailed deer that just roam around in the woods in front of you, and then to finally see that 150 buck come out in front of me, you know, your blood starts pumping. Taking that buck, it was an experience of a lifetime, Bran, and so happy I could be here with you guys and take part.
Wow, what a week and what a hunt that was. Rob Furlong and I both harvesting our largest bucks to date here in northern Saskatchewan. Of course, it was extremely cold, but the people, the deer, and the bone-chilling temperatures all made this a hunt I know we both are going to remember for a very long time. For more information on northern Saskatchewan and places to stay and things to do here, visit tourismsaskatchewan.com. And for more information on Baitmasters Hunting Camp, visit them online at www.baitmasters.net. For all of us here at Sun News Network, thanks for watching.